I told y'all that the pressure was on. I told y'all that pressure was on. Cal is not playing. He is not playing. Cal McNair is not playing. And I love to see it. I love to see it. What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic. And today we're talking some football, Houston Texans football. We about to talk about who the candidates are for the head coaching job and what direction do the Houston Texans need to move into to get this thing right. Because by this list, it shows a difference than it was the past couple of years. We're going to break it down before we get in there. Like I've been telling you before, if you're liking the content, man, make sure you're liking the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you comment all the videos. Make sure you're sharing all the videos on all social media platforms. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. Any type of social media platform you use, share on them same social media platforms. Also, follow me on social media. The link in the description below. Man, let's get this channel growing and growing and growing. I really, really appreciate all the love and all the support. Just keep this channel growing and growing and growing. And hey, the Houston Texans about to hire a new head coach. So things are about to get very interesting down here. So let's get this channel growing. Now, the list of candidates have came out of the Texans who they sent requests to. They sent one to the 49ers for D'Amico Ryans. Sent one to Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator to the Eagles. They also sent one to the offensive coordinator of the Eagles as well. They sent one to the defensive coordinator of the Broncos. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Lions. They also sent one to the offensive coordinator of the Giants. And surprisingly, they sent one and was accepted by the team, New Orleans Saints, for Sean Payton. The mere fact that they're actually in the conversation to even go out there and try to talk to Sean Payton. The reason why I'm clapping because this is what I mean about that pressure being on and Cal not playing, because this coaching search looks drastically different than the last 2 years. Now, I know some of y'all going to say y'all going to bring up the Deshaun Watson situation when they hired David Culley, and you're going to bring up just Jackie's to be whatever was going on last year when they ended up hiring Lovie Smith. But still, they never really went after the top candidates. I know last year they interviewed O'Connell. They did interview O'Connell, but they didn't interview was it Eberflus? Was Eberflus out there? They didn't interview Eberflus. They didn't interview well, Mike McDaniel wasn't he ended up being hired and was a good coach this year, but he wasn't the top candidate. Brian Daboll, they didn't go after and interview Brian Daboll. They did. I know they interviewed Flores, but I think that's more so because of the whole lawsuit situation. The year before, they didn't interview. They interviewed Eric Bieniemy after Deshaun requested the trade. Because when they did the initial hire, and then before they even hired Nick Caserio and they did the initial interviews, they didn't interview Eric Bieniemy. They didn't interview Robert Saleh. I don't think they interviewed Eberflus then either. Like, they didn't interview who was thought of to be the top candidates. On this list, D'Amico, who's a hot candidate, Sean Payton, who you have to give up draft capital for to get, is obviously a big name Super Bowl champion. He's a hot name, a big free agent, if you will. And they're putting themselves at the seat of the table. And because they're doing that, that shows a different type of mindset. One, it shows the desperation of Nick Caserio, because he said that if the head coach he hires wants him and needs him to step back, he would. He would step back and take a back seat. I think not meaning that he'll leave or relinquish all the power, but he'll be placed second chair to this person if that's who they end up wanting to hire as a coach, and the head coach wants that power. Again, it seems like he got reprimanded and was not told what to say, but he got a stern talking to before he had that press conference the other day. I feel like everybody, when you was kids and you about to go into the store and your mama tell you, don't ask for nothing, don't touch nothing. Don't ask for nothing, don't touch nothing when we go up in the store. That's what I feel like Cal told Nick Caserio before they did that press conference. And that's how Nick Caserio was talking, just like that. And now the interviews that they're doing, they're trying to find somebody, himself trying to find somebody, like I said the other day, to save his career, bro. That's really what they're trying to do. Now, me personally, out of all these guys, my preference would be D'Amico Ryans. I'm only gonna go after the guys who they send out the interviews to. I'm gonna go after D'Amico. Checks every single box. The only box he don't check is if with the second pick in the draft, more than likely 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10 rather, you're going to draft a quarterback with that number 2 pick. So to bring in a young rookie quarterback, I prefer an offensive minded guy, but I like D'Amico over all the rest of these candidates anyway. He checks every box outside him being a defensive coordinator. Jonathan Gannon, he don't check all the boxes for me. One, he's a defensive guy, so that's why I really want. He's a defensive guy. I know people think he's probably the favorite because he got interviewed twice last year, but didn't get the job. We don't know exactly what the disconnect was. We don't know if it was the Jack Easterby situation, if it was picking the staff type situation. We don't know exactly what did Gannon just completely turn it down. I doubt that Jonathan Gannon completely turned it down because then they wouldn't put him on the list again if Jonathan Gannon completely turned down. So it must have been something on the Texans end why they didn't end up hiring Jonathan Gannon, or because of or because of Jack Easterby or the whole Brian Flores situation. Who knows? Maybe it was something of that nature. I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is I don't care who you hire. You don't have no excuse. They can't fly. None of that is an excuse anymore in my book. The offensive coordinator Ben Johnson from Detroit had a very good year this past year, calling plays. I mean, Detroit was one of the top offenses this year. Almost made in the playoffs. Goff had a resurgence of his career. Probably part of the best football Goff has played in his career was in Detroit this past year, and he played under Sean McVay. Went to the Super Bowl with Sean McVay. It's probably the best offensive year. I have to look at his numbers statistically to see if it was his best year. But from just thinking, I think it probably was his best year. Like just off the top of my head, it feels like it was his best year, because you got people who think that maybe they should run with Goff completely. I think his contract is up next year, and you got people talking about maybe even paying Goff to extend him to continue to go on because of the type of year he had last year. But the problem with Johnson, he's only coached 1 year. He's only coached 1 year offensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator of the Broncos had a very good year this year. Even though the Broncos didn't win that many games, we know it's because of the offense and Russell Wilson. The defense played exactly well, but I'm not big on the defensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator for the Eagles had Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts played well. Devontae Smith and AJ Green running the offense played well. I just don't know if I really like that style of offense, to be honest with you. I think it was good for Hurts. I don't think I like that type of style of offense. I'm not really impressed with that offense. Even though the Eagles played well, and I think the Eagles is a damn good football team this year, I'm not really impressed with that. The Giants offensive coordinator, I know he has ties to Andy Reid and Mahomes in Kansas City. I think he was their quarterbacks coach back in 2018 and 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And really not all that sold about the Giants offense. Now, to be fair, I haven't watched a lot of Giants football, so I would need to go back and really watch they tape. But as of just from the games I have watched the Giants, I know when they played the Texans and when they played Washington on Sunday night, it was the game, both games against the Cowboys. I think I should end up saying, like it's an okay offense. I know Saquon had a resurgence of his career. I know Daniel Jones played serviceable this year because the Giants are in the playoffs. I'm not really all that impressed. Then you get to the meat of everything, the meat and potatoes of everything, and Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning coach, had a whole bunch of winning years with the Saints, more than likely a Hall of Fame head coach. I want no parts of Sean Payton. I don't. I'm extremely happy that we went out and we requested the interview for him, and they accept, and we'll potentially interview him. I think we can interview him until the 17th. I am happy about that. I'm happy about that. Also, Ben Johnson and the DC from the Broncos, they've already accepted the request, and the interview should be coming down pretty soon. Nobody else has accepted the request yet. I'm glad that we're sitting at the table. It shows that we're being serious. It shows that we're being realistic. It shows that we're really trying to get this right. I don't want Sean Payton. One, because you're going to have to give up a draft capital to get him because he's still under contract with New Orleans. New Orleans doesn't have a first round pick, so they're going to be trying to get that 12th pick. Or they're going to be trying to get that high second round pick. No parts of that. Zero parts of that. I only want to give a third round pick. I'll give you a fourth. I'll give you a fifth. Maybe give you a fourth and a fifth. Maybe. It's too much talent in this draft, and this team is too deployed of talent to be giving up a pick for Sean Payton. And then two, he's already said on record, his video, on video, this is not what somebody's reported. I've heard the video, I've heard the audio, that he's now the monster of drafting people who don't fit the physical build in the top of the draft. So if you have the second pick in the draft, you wouldn't take Bryce Young if he's there to you. Now, again, I'm pretty sure he hasn't met with Bryce Young, haven't seen Bryce Young. I'm pretty sure if he gets into the pro day and the combine and personal workouts, that'll probably change his mind slightly when it comes to Bryce Young. But I don't think that line of thinking, I don't know if I can roll with that. And then thirdly, no matter if it's Nick Caserio or whoever, him, Sean Payton, and Jim Harbaugh both strike me as the type of guys who at some point in time want the complete control and the complete power. I'm not the monster of giving anybody a complete control or complete power. From the general manager, from the head coach to be now, yeah, you should be able to have input to be able to draft certain players, have your input on the quarterback, you want things like that. But to have the complete control power of the personnel, I don't agree with that. Just like I don't want my head coach to be head coach and offensive coordinator or head coach and defensive coordinator. No, he needs to hire a staff. I need him to hire a DC and OC. I don't need him to play double duty. I need him to be the head coach. I don't need him to play all these different roles. I don't want that to happen no more. I'm sick of that. It doesn't really ever work out well. So teams need to stop doing it. It hardly ever works out. So people need to stop doing it. I don't care how smart somebody is, how good a head coach. I don't care about none of that. So I don't want Sean Payton because of things. Now, Sean Payton, if he was a complete free agent, Sean Payton probably would be two on my list because he is a proven coach. The draft pick is the main thing why I would want him. And then there's other things, just like everybody else, just like D'Amico and Ben Johnson and Gannon and everybody else, to me personally, have their own little. Okay, that's not. Nobody's batting 1,000. D'Amico's the close thing because the only thing for D'Amico that I don't like is that he's a defensive coordinator, which is probably good for the defense. Will be good for the defense, but I prefer to get an offensive-minded head coach because of the young quarterback that you're going to get. And even though I don't want him to coach to be the offensive coordinator, but if you have a good if you have a good quarterback, the offensive coordinator more than likely gets another job. And if you're the DC, not DC, but if you're a defensive-minded head coach, he's probably going to take people from that offensive staff and leave to get his new head coaching job. Now you stuck and got to get a whole nother offensive coordinator and possibly change the system that your quarterback is in. Offensive-minded guy, even if the offensive coordinator gets a new job, the offensive-minded head coach still has a philosophy. He still has the same, no matter how many offensive assistants that Kyle Shanahan loses, his quarterbacks are still going to be under that system. They're still going to be under that Kubiak Shanahan system, no matter how many offensive coordinators he go through. They're not learning a new system up until he's no longer there. They're always going to be running the same system. So that's the reason why I prefer offensive-minded head coach when you're dealing with a young quarterback. That's just me personally. Even though I want D'Amico, I'm going to say this like I said the other day. Nick has to get this right. So I'm not going to gripe and complain. Whoever Nick hires, that's who Nick hires. I prefer D'Amico over the rest of these guys, but whoever he hires, I'm going to be okay with, because if it's not right, that's on Nick. So, hey, Nick want to go out there and hire Josh McCown, go right ahead. That's on Nick. That's completely on Nick. So if it bombs, which it more than likely would do, Nick is going to get out of here. It's plain and simple. He gonna get up out of here. And what I've been feeling for the past couple months will be true. I feel like he's a scout. He's a scout, and he's not qualified to be a general manager. This is how I feel. I feel that he's a good scout, possibly a good scout, good eye for talent, but not a good general manager. And he would just prove me right in that case. But if he actually hires somebody and they actually turn out to be well, be a good head coach, he will start to get trending in the right direction. So that's all. It's very simple. It's very simple. I might want somebody, but I think whoever he hires, I'm cool with for the time being until proven otherwise. My personal opinion, I think it's going to end up being Ben Johnson. I think he's going to go with an offensive-minded guy. I don't think he's going to give up draft capital. I think Cal's probably going to want to hire Sean Payton, but I think Nick couldn't completely convince him they're going to want draft capital, and that's going to hurt the way to rebuild this team. And I think Cal would understand that and listen to that, and it wouldn't just be normal him and Jackie used to be trying to swindle him. It's something that's very, very valid. It's a very valid point. So I believe it's a very valid point, and I think Cal will believe that, and they'll probably go in another direction. I know the fans in the city, we would love D'Amico. That would get the city rocking. You bring D'Amico, you bring in Bryce or CJ. The season tickets are being sold completely, sold out. We'll be back to the tickets being sold out. Fans and stadium. If you bring in Bryce Young, Bryce Young is your quarterback. You draft Bryce Young and you hire D'Amico Ryans. Oh, everybody's back on board. Texan merchandise again. They don't happen to make the baby blue jerseys because they got the baby blue hoodies, but they ain't selling them yet. It's something up with that. It's something they got the baby blue hoodies, but they don't want to sell them to the general public. But it's something up with that. But I digress. They gonna sell that merch. D'Amico Ryans and Bryce Young, they gonna sell. They gonna sell that merch, and the tickets are gonna be sold out. This is the most important offseason in the history of the Houston Texans. This offseason right here is the most important offseason in the Houston Texans. It's the most important offseason because this is going to make or break a lot of people's careers. It's going to make or break Nick Caserio's career. It's going to make or break Cal's career as an owner. It's going to make or break whoever these coaching hire is and whoever is the number 2 pick in the draft. It's going to make or break their year. It's going to make or break their career. It's a very, very pivotal offseason for the Houston Texans. I think it's going to end up being Ben Johnson. I think at the end of the day, that's who it's going to end up being. They're going to end up hiring Ben Johnson, offensive mind, very innovative, put up a whole bunch of points, whole bunch of yards, whole bunch of stats with Detroit. And I think he could sell that to Cal, and he just better be right. Like, subscribe if you haven't, comment below if you haven't, click that bell, get more videos. I holla.